there.
Right.
It's got everything in there, so you can't change those things or
Correct.
manipulate those.
And so the other thing about it is that goes back to interpretation, taking it to and I've had this before where I've added an addendum, excuse me, not amendment, but an addendum to the contract, and the addendum basically states whatever it is that you wanted to addend.
Right.
And what ends up happening is there are certain, for instance, there was a young lady who had a catering business, and it wasn't the big, large trucks, but it was a smaller one. It was kind of the size of a work van, basically.
Okay.
But I don't know whether it was hot dogs or whatever, but it took up a lot of space. And she said, "Hey, can I pay you extra to have this?" But I said, "Only on the weekends, and it can't be here because it takes up too much space, blah, blah, blah." So we corrected her parking space for that, and you just added, you added to it.
I guess if there's a parking, if there's no parking, if there's a pool, if there's laundry, there's certain rules I guess you would have to add in there or change.
Well, those are pretty simple because those are things that aren't going to change. There's other things that can come into play, especially like if you're renting out rooms, right? One of the big things right now is house hacking and renting out rooms. So that can change. And as long as everyone is okay, well, in California, if you have a lease, both parties have to agree to correct the lease, and then it's up to the judge if he's going to honor it. It's not like a contract when you're buying something, because as you're reaching that purchase, you hit a goal, and the goal is to transfer ownership. With a lease, it's constant. So if you started off saying there's no dogs, and then the person brought in a dog,
right,
you can put your foot down and say you can't have the dog, but then you can amend it and say, which I've done.
Right.
Hey, tell me what the dog is before you bring it in. I want you to have insurance.
Right.
And I need to be able to meet the dog. If the dog comes at me, he can't stay. If he's friendly to me, then he'll be friendly to the neighbors, and I hope it's okay. And then the other thing that I would tell people is I have to let the other tenants know and say, hey, what do you guys think about this? Because I want everybody to be happy. Now, if you started off with that in the beginning and allowing pets, that's a different story.
Right.
But you can amend it. And so that's one of the things that you can do as long as both parties are okay with it. Yeah. So that's what I was saying.